The SEC and the Big Ten want the Big 12 to go away. What does that mean? This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Today, let's talk about how the SEC and the Big Ten want nothing to do with this conference. Also, the transfer portal is even messier today than it was a week ago. That's not a good thing. And Big 12 to Ireland is weird, and I think it kind of sucks. But we start with the SEC and the Big Ten wanting the Big 12 to, in essence, go defunct, and honestly wanting the exact same for the ACC and everybody else not named the SEC and the Big Ten. This coming from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports. You know Ross Dellinger. He is the first to report almost anything expansion related, and this falls under the category of expansion mostly because of the revenue that's associated with the college football playoff and how, as you know, Brett Yormark wants to expand the Big 12 by 2027 because of a look-in clause that could earn the conference more money. And what do we want? Money, because money keeps you alive. But in this scenario, in what Greg Sankey is quoted as saying in this article, the Big 12 doesn't exist at the top of college football. The money isn't enough to keep the conference alive. And anybody who's not alongside the SEC and probably the Big Ten isn't playing the top level of the sport. Here's how. This is a direct quote from Dellinger. During a meeting of CFP commissioners in November, well before the revenue negotiations began. So this is before we decided the SEC and the Big Ten should make about twice as much as the ACC and the Big 12. A discussion point emerged about the CFP's future. Here's a quote from Greg Sankey that Dellinger includes. There was a belief that all of us had to stay together as is. Sankey says, I never viewed it that way. There isn't a play nice. There isn't an altruistic do the right thing for college football. There's not this could be the next step in saving a conference like the Pac-12 or the ACC. No, it's we don't have to stick together. I'm Greg Sankey and I can do what I want. Dellinger writes, and he's exactly right on this, Sankey's honest and stunning admission may indicate the future course of the SEC and perhaps the Big Ten too. It casts doubt on the glue that binds the 9 leagues together. Said one high-placed college athletics insider, 5 power leagues could not survive. As you saw, the Pac-12 is gone. Neither can 4. This entire article details how the SEC and the Big Ten were not happy 2 years ago in conversations about the college football playoff and how it would continue forward with 12 teams or 14 teams or 16 teams. And remember, we had the conversations about how many automatic bids should those 2 leagues get. And now the revenue conversations have offered as much money to those 2 leagues as anybody else. They make 29% apiece of the $1.3 billion coming to college football through the new playoff format. And even that isn't enough. There is a great quote that is buried in here from Dellinger that says, there's a point when the Amazons of the world say, I don't need to be fair to the little guy any longer. And in our case, the Big 12, as decided by the rest of college football, is the little guy. Now, let's be honest. Let's be clear. Money, prowess, branding, it can't be argued that the Big 12 is better than the SEC at those things. I would argue that this conference is deeper, has better highs in a good portion of sports, and in football has a more complete league. And I love the fact that there's a cohesion of blue-collar football, of blue-collar programs and schools, of people who feel cast out, left behind in college athletics, and are happy to be in the Big 12 conference. But that, hold hands, kumbaya, doesn't really get you anywhere when the ones who actually push the buttons, the Greg Sankeys and the Big Ten, Fox, ESPN, they don't want the Big 12 to be a thing anymore. And it's not just the Big 12. It's college football that exists outside of the confines of the SEC and the Big Ten. What does this mean? What is next? Based on this information, and Dellinger goes on to say, the Big Ten and SEC have decision-making powers over a future format, though any decisions are expected to be made in consultation with ESPN and the other 2 power leagues. they have the prowess to say, let's break off and do this on our own through ESPN. You and I love Farmageddon. I love watching a West Virginia UCF game. I think that rocks. I love watching Iowa State play Kansas State. Back to the Farmageddon thing. The rest of the country wants to see Alabama play Ohio State every weekend. They want to see Michigan play Georgia every weekend. The reason we know that is because the numbers, the viewership numbers on those games is in essence what pushes the needle for these conferences making money, how they make money. And it's the reason the Big 12 isn't making as much money as the SEC and the Big 10. So with that being said, with the information Dellinger gave, where we head is toward two leagues, the SEC and the Big 10, doing their own thing, whether that's under the umbrella of the NCAA, which is not guaranteed, whether it's under an umbrella of a college football playoff format that includes 14 teams, 12 teams, 8 teams, none of that. Like those semantics don't even matter in the fact that Greg Sankey's made it clear. We don't have to play nice. We don't have to do this together. We can do whatever makes the most sense for us. And in that, the Big 12 is not included. There's not a let's call Brett Yormark and make sure we work this out. From Yormark's standpoint, then, how do you catch up? The only way to do that, and this is a conversation that I will continue to harp on, is to add more power teams. When the window of opportunity is there for a Miami, for a Clemson, for a Florida State, and maybe the window is not there for Florida State and Clemson. We have talked about, if you're an everyday on the show, we have talked about how those two are the astronomical odds, even though what was it? Brett McMurphy mentioned the crazy scenario where both of them joined the Big 12. I think it's just insane. That's the kind of thing that it takes, though. Adding those teams, the insane scenario somehow working out is how you catch up to the SEC and the Big 10. And if you don't catch up, they don't care. That's not good. It's not good. What's also not good, today's kind of a dour episode, actually. What's also not good is the transfer portal. I think some of you are in a better spot than you might consider. Others, we need some milk. There are some things to go over here. Unlocked on Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. This show is your team, and it's every day. Today's show is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. Look, I am 23 years old. I am finally out of college and making some money, and I need to know what to do with it, and I don't really know what to do with it because I am 23 years old. So Yahoo Finance has gotten me covered. That is where I can become a great investor. Yahoo Finance is an app where I can see a Roth IRA or my retirement or my 401k or all of the numbers and letters and things that equate to my money and where it goes. Yahoo Finance consolidates that. So over 90 million users trust Yahoo with putting all those fancy numbers in one location that is easy to digest. You download the Yahoo Finance app. Behind every great investor is Yahoo Finance. Do it. I did it. I feel like now it's like warm and cozy and comforting to see that, oh, those numbers are the money that I have, and it's all right there. So I can conveniently know what I have and where it is. Yahoo Finance is the place to go for that. Visit Yahoo Finance, download their app today. I do believe there is a Big 12 transfer portal emergency right now based on the amount of guys that have entered the transfer portal and left their respective programs. But I also believe there's a transfer portal emergency across the country based on NIL. We've heard coaches like Matt Rule mention the price tag on a quarterback can be $2 million. I'm not sure if that's what a Jaden Rashada is going to get by going to Georgia. However, every day, there are guys leaving programs across the country in search of money. And there are some Big 12 programs, like in Arizona State, that I look at and say, that's not good. You know, like junior, senior, redshirt sophomore, redshirt junior, guys that are leaving the program that have been in the program for a while who aren't trying. Rashada, he's your freshman that left, but was maybe the most promising young guy, one of the more promising young quarterbacks in the country, a name that everybody knows. I'm not sure if anybody has mistaken him for a culture guy, but still the upside was there. He's gone from Arizona State. Baylor has lost 3 wide receivers. You just brought in an offensive coordinator who was supposed to have this run and gun, fun to play in, awesome deal. You lost 3 wide receivers, and your quarterback commit said, you know what, never mind, I'm not playing there. Great. BYU, you're BYU. You've lost 3 guys. They were all freshmen. The portal for BYU is a weird thing, a conversation for a different day. Cincinnati, senior, redshirt sophomore, couple of talented freshmen or redshirt freshmen. I am in the Cincinnati category. I withheld judgment to this point. Everybody's losing transfers. It's not like a number. Like if somebody has lost 7 transfers, you have to look at the individual players to understand if that's good or bad for the team. We've talked about positive attrition. Cincinnati, I think this is Scott Satterfield's final year. I'm going to withhold my thoughts, any negative thoughts on you, because most of the negative thoughts I have are directed to Deion Sanders in Colorado, who have picked up guys from Pitt, Ohio State, Texas, talented young players, talented old players. I think the Ryan Buell guy from Ohio could be a really good defensive lineman. Here's the problem. You've lost like 15 guys now. I'm looking at the Colorado list of transfers, and this thing is like I have to scroll through my computer to get through them all. It is an AAU program on a football field. I like Deion Sanders a lot. I want Deion Sanders to. Can I tell you something? If Deion Sanders wins, that is more positive publicity for the Big 12, more positive stuff that I can talk about, and thus that helps everybody, including Big 12 podcasts. I like when these teams are good. The AAU Colorado revolving door of players, not good. And maybe the feather in the cap of what is a Big 12 / college football transfer portal emergency. Houston Cougars. Oh, maybe, and a lot of young guys in the pile of Cougars that have transferred out. Good portion of young guys in the pile of Cougars that are gone. I am erring on the side of, like in a Scott Satterfield situation, he's in year 2, so the guys that leave, like, oh, well, not great. You know, the guys already established his culture. They could have left last year. For Houston, I believe Willie Fritz walked in, looked around and said, if you don't want to work hard, if you can't do what I ask of you, if you don't want to win above all else, go there. That's the door. Like opposite of Deion, not I'm bringing anybody. It's just, if you don't want to win, we'll go 0-12 next year. If it means the losers of the program leave. Not to say that every one of these guys that's leaving is a loser, but they obviously don't fit the culture. Houston's got culture under Willie Fritz. You have seen what he has done at other schools like a Tulane or Sam Houston State, the success that Fritz has had. I think he can have that at Houston. You just got to clean out some of the bad weeds, positive attrition. Speaking of that, Kansas, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, even TCU and Texas Tech, they don't have a lot of guys that are transferring out. The ones that are, West Virginia's included this, the ones that are mostly are young guys. Like I go through, look at Kansas. By the way, Heartland College Sports has done a great job of transfer portal tracking in all of this. Like my transfer portal Big 12 information almost exclusively comes from Heartland College Sports because they do such a good job. Matthew Poston's, Derek Duke, unreal stuff there. Kansas Jayhawks, freshman, gone. Kansas State, 1 guy, junior, gone. TCU, freshman, true junior. Texas Tech, freshman. A lot of young guys at these schools, West Virginia, freshmen, that are going in the portal. And I don't think, again, when you judge it on a school-to-school basis, that's a terrible thing. So where the crisis is happening is Colorado. Even a Baylor where you tried to plug a hole and you didn't, like, what did you get? Or a Houston where are you changing the culture? Are they leaving because of the culture? Like, the reason I call it a crisis is the sheer number of guys. But if you dig in the weeds here, it's happening everywhere. NIL's ruining college football. We know that. And I don't know if it's that bad for a Kansas State, for a West Virginia, for a Kansas, for the teams that we expect to win this coming season. Utah's a weird one. Some of the guys that have left Utah, a lot of freshmen in that bunch too. But some of the guys that have left, like, I thought that guy was going to be good. Still interested on that one. I don't know what Kyle Whittingham's doing. He's a tough coach. Utah will hold out. The Paul Fitzgerald kid's very good. Damian Alford too. Those are good pickups. That's a guy who's already going out and filling some holes. I need to see more of that. I need more guys committing to Big 12 schools because we haven't had a lot of that yet. Can we get more of it, please? Coming up, Big 12's going to Ireland. I don't think I like this. I'm Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Look, I'm a competitive guy. People tell me that I'm a competitive guy because I am. Monopoly Go lets me be competitive against my friends. That's what I love about it, is that I can play against my friends on a mobile app that shows me the Monopoly that I love, but on my phone. Play countless dynamic Monopoly boards. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent for your iconic properties. Even work with your friends if you're more, like community-based. You can crack open community chests in tournaments, get extra rewards, and climb the leaderboard. Get back out there, put on your game face, download Monopoly Go, now free in the App Store or Google Play. Whether you are competitive and want to beat your friends or you want to play with them, you can play me on Monopoly Go. You won't win. You can try. Monopoly Go, App Store, Google Play. That's where you go to play Monopoly Go. Again, you can play me, but I'm going to beat you. Monopoly Go. Download it today, wherever you get your apps. So Farmageddon, Kansas State and Iowa State will be played in Ireland in 2025. Now, your first thought might be, oh, neat. That's a cool new addition for the Big 12. My first thought is, this is kind of stupid. Now, bear with me. I don't think that's cynical. I think it's kind of when you just look at the actual, kind of the details of this, I don't think it does anything for the conference. Manhattan Hell posted this on Twitter. Just genuinely pissed about moving a rivalry game, what could be a crucial Big 12 game, and making back-to-back seasons with only 6 home games. I get it's huge for the program. We're going to get paid, but that doesn't mean individual fans have to be happy about it. And that hits the nail on the head. That's the first part of this. From a fan standpoint, you're probably like first weekend of September. Are you going to be able to go to Ireland? Doesn't feel like the kids are just got back to school. Work's kicking up. It's fall coming out of summer. You spent your money on play in the summer. So now you're going to go to Ireland? Probably not. And then do you think that if Farmageddon goes, by the way, we're just not playing Farmageddon in 2024, and then we think it's an important enough game to play it in Ireland in 2025? I think Farmageddon should be played every year. It's maybe the best rivalry in the Big 12, bar Utah and BYU. But now we're going to do it in Ireland. And is that going to create more Big 12 fans? Like, I think it would have been so awesome to have like a UCF, that flashy young Florida team, and even like a UCF, and I don't know, send Texas Tech out there. Joey McGuire would probably get the people riled up out there. And look, I do believe that Iowa State fans and Kansas State fans will be able to enjoy some brews in Ireland. They'll be able to throw down in that regard, and they're going to impress the locals in that way, and that's all cool and everything. Are we going to get any more exposure from this? I don't know if the Big Ten did. Like, is bringing that product to Ireland going to benefit the Big 12 from a TV perspective? No. Is it going to benefit Kansas State or Iowa State on the field? Well, no, because you're playing a Big 12 game, and the travel is going to really suck. You played a Big 12 game in the first week of the season, and it's an important Big 12 game. And now you got to worry about the pomp and circumstance of doing it in Ireland, and one of the teams now has to start 0-1, and most of the time what you're doing is playing an early game against teams you know you can beat, or at least teams you can fine-tune against, but you get a Big 12 game that's game 1, and it has the pomp and circumstance of just going out to the Aer Lingus College Football Classic on August 23rd. That's when it doesn't even wish you would have read that. Not even the first weekend of September. Even worse, August 23rd. Gene Taylor said per KansasState.com, KStateSports.com. We are thrilled that Kansas State University and our football program have been selected to play Iowa State in the annual Aer Lingus College Football Classic. I'm not. Like, yeah, cool for the kids. You guys get to go and see the world. For the Big 12, this feels a little bit like when Brett Yormark put the Big 12 basketball championship or football championship on jumbotrons in Times Square downtown. Okay. I don't know if that, like, the money that we're, or the return, we kind of grab, like the Big 12 Mexico thing. We just cancel the Mexico thing. Let's focus on doing stuff that is all about expansion and trying to grow the conference. And I know that this has nothing to do with Mexico, and this is a much different thing than Mexico, but does it make any sense for these two schools? What does it get you? Am I missing something? Are you Kansas State fans happy to go to Ireland? Iowa State fans happy to play in week 0 in a Big 12 game? When it's Nebraska, Notre Dame, or whatever, Notre Dame Navy, it's like, oh, what a sleepy, weird throwaway game that just kind of sucks. It's not fun for anybody. It's August 23rd. It's 112 degrees outside most places in the country. Now we're watching you play in Ireland at 2:30 on NBC. Maybe I am being cynical about it. I just don't think it makes any sense in my brain. Like, I don't think we need to do this. I don't know. My thesis here: the Big 12 playing in Ireland is going to do nothing positive for those two universities in the long term. Nothing. Cool experience for the guys, sure, but I would rather you play that game week 8, where both of them are competing for a Big 12 championship, not start somebody who's a good program, an established Big 12 program, off 0-1 because they lost a game in Ireland and on August 23rd. That, to me, is silly and pointless. That's my thesis. Will the Big 12 get money from this? Sure. Will the money push the needle? No. Is it worth it? Probably not in the long run. Maybe this isn't even grasping at the PR straws. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just doing what college football does and sending a couple teams out there to play the old pigskin on the island. I just think it doesn't matter for much. What do you think? Am I right about this? Should I question myself? Is this okay? Are you okay with this? I need feedback. That's why there's a comment section thing. Tomorrow, I've been to the Grand Canyon. Now I'm in Mesa, Arizona. Cool place. Banana Bowl. Savannah bananas and the party animals, you know? I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk more about this whole transfer portal stuff and the SEC and the Big Ten and all that jazz and Kansas State and Ireland and, yeah. On Locked On. Thanks for making this your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.